We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how you say that? Air it out. Air it out.
Air it out.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Air It Out podcast. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. It's the day after Thanksgiving for most, if you do choose to celebrate. So thank you for, being thankful on this day. I'm thankful. I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty thankful for the food that I got to eat. Good stuff, you know what I'm saying? Good family, good friends, all of those different things. I got a Friendsgiving later today as well. It's gonna be a good weekend. Leftovers, if you kept. Okay, I see you, Coach. I see you, Coach. Speaking of, what is up, Coach? Say what's up to the folks, please, for me.
What's going on, people? Hopefully everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving. I know I did. One Thanksgiving down, Friendsgiving today, and another one tomorrow. Oof. Jim is going to be calling my name on Monday.
Hey, listen.
He calls my name on Monday.
Listen, we definitely gonna have to hit the gym. I'm probably gonna walk away 30 pounds heavier, this weekend. But it's cool. We're all trying to aspire to be like Juan anyway, who be hitting the gym and be hitting them with the hair and be killing it. Stay with up the one and only.
Let me ask you guys something. So there's been like a huge debate within my newsroom all week. Do you put crumbs on your mac and cheese?
Okay, so crumbs like breadcrumbs?
Yeah, like breadcrumbs.
So me personally, when I make my mac and cheese, instead of breadcrumbs, you know what I use? Cheez-Its. I grind up some Cheez-Its, get that extra cheesy. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking. You get that. Listen, there. Don't knock it till you try it, Playboy. I'm trying to tell you.
Who mac and cheese y'all get?
Listen,
because,
man.
See, there should be no crumbs, no nothing. If we talking baked mac and cheese,
yes.
Give me my cheese, give me my milk, give me my eggs, give me the noodles. Listen here, make sure you got 5 different types of cheeses. Not 1, not 2, but 5.
5 is the minimum.
Mac and cheese.
5 is the minimum. Listen, all right, so let me ask you this. Do you use mustard powder, or do you use a different type of cheese to get that tang?
Cheese.
Boo! Boo!
I can't relate to any of this because, number one, I'm not American, so I don't celebrate Thanksgiving as traditional as y'all do.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. We don't celebrate Thanksgiving either. We just get together with family and be happy to eat. That's
and number two. I kind of missed out on the whole Thanksgiving celebration this year or yesterday, mainly because, for one, I'm all out here on my own. And all my closest relatives are in Chicago, so we're having our Thanksgiving actually tomorrow instead of today. So I've been rushing all day, cleaning up my damn apartment to the very fine detail because I've never hosted Thanksgiving or anything ever. So it's gonna be a first time for me.
Listen, I understand completely, but it's all good. You're gonna get some good food. And that's all that matters. Well, not really all that matters. You still got family and friends and stuff like that. That matters too. But you get it. Listen, we all know it's all about the yams. The yams are so good. Well, it's really about the trifecta, right? It's about the trifecta. The collard greens, the yams, and the mac and cheese together. Oh, that's all right. We're not going to do this today. We're not going to do this right now.
We're actually a food podcast in a second.
Listen, look, the air it in food podcast, okay? Into my belly. Air it into my belly, okay? You know what I'm talking about. All right, listen, instead of that, we're going to talk about let's talk about Thanksgiving a little bit more, right? And we're going to talk about the Turkey Day games that just happened yesterday. We had 3 amazing games, in my opinion, because I'm a Falcons fan, so you'll understand why I like yesterday's games. But again, we got the Turkey Day games. I want to know, first things first, which game was your favorite, and then I want you to kind of flesh out the other games as well. All right, cool. I'm going to start with you, Juan. Give me your favorite from the slate of games we had yesterday, and then tell me everything we need to know about yesterday's game.
Well, I was mostly awake for this one, so this is the only one I know really good by heart. But it's obvious what the answer is that overtime action, that duel in Dallas, the Raiders against the Cowboys, and the Raiders upsetting the Cowboys in their home stadium. Now, let's be honest. Let's be clear though. In the last 2 years, every away team has won in these Thanksgiving Day games, and the Cowboys lost just as bad against the Washington football team last year. So it really isn't supposed to be a huge surprise, but the fact that it was the Raiders of all teams to pull it off simply astounds me. Derek Carr looked like an absolute stud. He only had 1 touchdown of the day, but nearly eclipsed 400 yards passing. Like, honestly, there's always a debate of where to put Derek Carr with regards to ranking in the QBs. I'll have him as a top 12, top 15 quarterback. He's middle of the pack, but has high potential to crack a top 10 list should he ever do so. The running game for Vegas was very varied. Okay, come on, Avery. Don't be so sus about it. You know what I mean.
Top 10?
Could crack it if there was more, but I'm just saying.
Maybe we'll see.
That's why I have him outside of the top 10. But anyway, the running game for the Raiders has been one of the most abysmal this year, but somehow they had a pretty good performance. Josh Jacobs, 87 yards on the ground, that 1 touchdown, putting me up on my fantasy team. Just go, Josh Jacobs. And I love the use of Marcus Mariota as kind of like a poor man's what's the Saints players?
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill. He's like a poor man's Taysom Hill because you usually run him out the wildcat out of the option. But, it's getting to be a little too obvious. The defense really stepped up, especially. They only got, 1 sack against against Dak Prescott. But that's all you really needed to take him down. There was pressure on Dak all night. It looked like he was getting bullied around by that Raiders front line. Not to mention, Raiders receivers just targeting the opposing defensive back for Dallas, Anthony Brown. 3 defensive pass interference calls against him, all costly, all bringing the Raiders down the field. I mean, that's just sad. Man, I know, like Avery, as a former DB, you just hate to see it, man.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
For sure.
Overall, here's what I'll say. I think that this game has exposed the Dallas Cowboys as being a team that's not ready to make a deep playoff run. They still have the offensive firepower, but when you're blowing up in the last 2 games, especially against less than quality opponents, and I say less than because the Chiefs still need to hit that upper echelon of eliteness that they haven't been hitting in recent weeks, and the Raiders are the Raiders. When you're blowing it against teams like this, I don't really see a deep playoff run for Dallas going forward. They're a wild card exit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting to see them get beat down the way they got beat down. I was not expecting that. I've stood on this all year. I said their defense looks really good. Dak was looking like an MVP candidate early on. Zeke looked to be in shape and those different things. The offensive line looked to be back intact. All of those different things were happening for them, and then they got smoked. So, yeah, I mean, you could be right there. You could be right there, Juan. I mean, they're starting to look like a middle tier team right now in the NFC. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out the last couple of weeks of the season. Coach, talk to me, man. What was your favorite game from the slate of games we had yesterday? And then just kind of talk to me a little bit more about what you saw from the 3 games in general.
So, obviously, my favorite game was the Cowgirls losing. I was in a room full of Eagles fans, and when I explained, the Cowboys lost, it was a round of applause, everyone. Round of applause. We all loved it in there, man. But there is 2 things I got to say about that team. 1, Tony Pollard, he's special, man. That's definitely a dude that's going to ball for years to come. If you've seen that kick return, that was just speed at its finest, people. You gotta love it. But second, Cowboys have now lost, what is that? 1, 2, 3 out of the last 4 games they played. And all their losses have been by teams that they should have beaten handily.
Funny fact: all AFC West teams, the Broncos,
all
Chiefs,
AFC West teams,
and the Raiders now
1-3 versus the AFC West this year. 1-3. Listen, man, I did not have that faith in the Cowgirls. I'm sorry, I just couldn't. They started off hot. Yes, we know the offense is doing well, but for me, that defense is still almost the same. You add one or two guys. One guy has a really great start, but in the category where you have to be almost somewhat lucky to do it. To get that many amount of picks in that many games, yes, that's skill, but that's also a lot of luck there, buddy. And I'm sorry, I can't run with the Cowgirls on this. So you see what happens. Bears and the Lions, that was a battle of crappy Alex Smith lookalikes. One with red hair, one with blonde hair. That's really what it was. It wasn't terrible to watch, as Jared Goff did pretty well to start off the game. And Andy Dalton did pretty well to get the Bears the win in the end. But it was nothing pretty to watch, really. And then you have the Bills and the Saints. Saints are not there. It's unfortunate, but as soon as James Winston went down, it's been a wrap since then. Mark Andrews was out. Alvin Kamara was out. There's no Michael Thomas. This Saints team is their defense. It's not
Lamar got owned on that juke right in the end zone, man.
Yeah. But the Bills, another team, got to worry about. They're very, very hot, and then they're very, very cold.
Say that.
I will say this. Trey White getting lost for the season hurt. And I'll say more about that later.
Yeah, that's a huge blow for that Bills defense. I mean, arguably the best player on that Bills defense. One of the top, in my opinion, top 5 corners in the NFL. So it's definitely a huge blow to lose a guy like that.
One thing I want to ask before, what do you think of officiating in the Cowboys-Raiders game? 28 total penalties, 14 on both sides. Like, how much of it can you blame against, bad play on the field versus just officiating kind of going too far, like too much of an in-reach by officiating?
I think it's both. I think, number one, the officiating was it's too much, too close to the cuff. They were just so trigger happy with those flags. That was annoying. But at the same time, they were two teams that they're not known for being disciplined, right? And then from a coaching standpoint, I in my personal opinion, I think flags come down to a coaching more than anything. Bill Belichick's teams are not highly penalized teams. John Harbaugh's teams are not highly penalized teams. These are teams who have coaching that stress the importance of not committing foolish and costly penalties. So I think it's a 50-50 person.
But you got to understand though as well, in that Cowboys-Raiders game, they had a whole fight breakout on the side. After that, coaches and refs are all going to understand, listen, we have to get this game together. We have to make sure to do the little things. Because at that point, refs are going to try to make sure that does not happen again.
Understood. However, these weren't egregious, personal foul penalties, different things like that. They were just penalties.
Yeah.
It was just really bad.
And they were like game-changing penalties too, like these pass interference calls.
Pass interference calls. Yeah.
How many false starts? How many like encroachments? Like, it was mostly just like these technical little calls that they were ticky-tacky.
And I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I didn't get a chance either to watch all of the games, but the games that I did get a chance to look into. I think the Lions are fully in tank mode. Calling a timeout on 3rd and 9, calling back-to-back timeouts. I'm sorry. I don't care how bad your season is going. I don't care how bad your personnel or your coaches are. Everybody knows you can't call back-to-back timeouts like that. So to me, they were like, we're going to do it. We're going to make it easier for you to convert this 3rd down.
But who are
because we're thinking. I don't know. That's my concern. I'm like, who are you tanking for? I guess they may whether they're sold on Jared Goff or not. It remains to be seen. Maybe they see something on the offensive line, in film because their offensive line is abysmal. Maybe that's the reason. Maybe there's a receiver they're looking at. I don't know. Maybe they're going after Derek Stingley. Maybe they're going to pick a corner number one overall, and he's projected to be the number one corner off the board. After we saw what happened with Jeff Okudah, they missed on that. And so I think maybe I don't know. But I think they're in tank mode. The Raiders versus Cowboys. Phenomenal game for the most part from a excitement standpoint, right? Goes down to the wire, goes into overtime, all of those different things. What I don't like is how the Cowboys, they started slow. I didn't like that. And I think the reason I didn't like it is because I think they're playing under their talent level. And I'm kind of tired of it. I'm kind of tired of them playing under their talent level. I want to see them actually be dominant, I'm not even a Cowboys fan, but I'm just tired of them doing this over and over. The Raiders got a very good win, a win that they desperately needed to stay in the playoff hunt and to continue to put some pressure on teams. Again, the Raiders are going to be a tough out regardless. Nobody's going to want to quote-unquote play the Raiders. So they're going to be a tough out. Seems like they're getting healthy as well. So they might be able to hit their stride and do some things.
It's a tough schedule going forward, too.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they won with Darren Waller only having 2 catches for 33 yards. It's showing that he's not the only way that they win anymore. Early on in the season, I mean, you're talking about 15, 20 targets a game, and now it's a situation where they still get targets, but 2 catches, and they still are able to get a W. That's good for them. The Bills, Saints, I'm not going to talk any more about the game other than these 2 things. 1, I'm happy they lost because I'm a Falcons fan. And 2, Stephon Diggs, you are a special human being, sir. What you did on the goal line to Marshawn Lattimore should be absolutely illegal, and you should go write a letter of apology to him and his family for embarrassing him on national television like you did. That was absolutely disgusting, distasteful, and I think that you should be penalized and fined just for that route that you ran. It was absolutely beautiful. I loved it. Oh my goodness, it was so phenomenal. It was
this was to me calling you like a salty DB for a second.
It was so good. I'm a receiver too. Don't forget. Oh, it was so crispy. He gave him a little jab outside, like, I'm gonna run a fade. Then he runs the slant, and he doesn't even turn his head to look for the ball. He's like, I know you're gonna bite because I'm crispy like that, and just snapped it the other way. Marshawn touched his earth, and that's all she wrote. It was just beautiful. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I loved it. It was Hall of Fame worthy. It's a Hall of Fame worthy route. And with that being said, we're actually going to transition into our next topic of the day. Listen, Hall of Fame nominees. Oh my goodness, it's good. We got finalists, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be, I can't wait to talk about this. There's so many good players on this list. And what I love about it, this is our generation. This is our era of football. A lot of these guys are like, no, I watched you play. I watched you from beginning to end. I saw your prime. I love it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about those Hall of Fame nominees. We're going to talk about who do you think is going to get in guaranteed, and then who do you think is getting snubbed? Mm-hmm. All right, so Darren, if you could read off the list for me of these guys, and then give me your shoe-in. This guy is a lock. I want 5 locks and 2 snubs. 5 locks,
2 snubs.
And 2
All right, cool.
snubs.
I got you. So let's just go. We have the 26 semifinalists of the Hall of Fame class for this year. We have Ricky Waiters, Bryant Young, Heinz Ward, Anquan Bolden, Rondé Barber, Fred Taylor, Eddie George, Tony Baselli, Eric Allen, Robert Mathis, Vince Wilfork, Willie Anderson, Darren Woodson, Richard Seymour, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wang, Sam Mills, Zach Thomas, Leroy Butler, Steve Tasker, Jared Allen, Tory Holt, Steve Smith Jr., DeMarcus Ware, Patrick Willis, and last but not least, the man, the Mr. Legend, and my first guaranteed lock because of who he is, Mr. Incredible, Mr. Take It Back to the House, Mr. Devin Hester. Oh my God, that if he's not a lock, this is criminal right here, people. Criminal. That man's career. If you don't want to put it for wide receiver, you can't tell me or name me a better kicker punt returner in the last 20 years.
It's true.
And in the last 40, you still really can't find one. Oh, God. Whew. But my locks for Hall of Fame would easily be Devin Hester, DeMarcus Ware, Darren Woodson, who should have been in there by now, but I love the choice of Darren Woodson in there. Jared Allen, who I think is one of the best DNs to come out and play when he was active. And last but not least, this guy, one of them, because it was between two. One's getting on the snub list, one is making this list. Vince Wilfork. He's going to make it in.
That's solid. That's a solid.
Vince Wilfork makes it in only due to the rings and his longevity and effectiveness, even with the rings and everything going on.
That's a solid list. Give me 2 snubs here. Give me 2 snubs.
So here's my snubs, and both of these guys could have actually made it onto my list. And I actually got 3, so I'm gonna just throw them in there because
give me 3, give me 3, and I'll give you 3, Juan, as well.
All right, so Anquan Bolden, that's number 1. He's going to be snubbed, and it's going to be a travesty because this guy, when he was in his prime with the Cardinals, please tell me a better duo than Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden in their primes.
Ravens fan, excuse me.
Oh, no, I'm not even talking Ravens. I'm talking Cardinals. I'm talking masterful game. I mean, brilliant game. I mean, led them to the Super Bowl with a almost 40-year-old Kurt Warner and Anquan Bolden. That's the Anquan Bolden I'm talking about right there. That's number 1. Number 2, Reggie Wang. This is a crime that he's not in the Hall of Fame already. Reggie Wang is one of the most impeccable receivers, and another duo of wide receivers that both should be in the Hall of Fame. Marvin Harrison being the other one. And last but not least, and this is personally a guy that I love growing up, love, but know he will get snubbed only because of how short his career was. Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis is one of the most dominant linebackers of his time, and it's going to take a little bit more for him to get in. It's unfortunate, but oh my God. The hits, the coverage, the everything. He did everything as an off-ball linebacker, especially in the middle. It was, whew.
Yeah, listen. Patrick Willis was he is one of my favorite linebackers of all time. So yeah, listen, that's a good list. I love your locks, very solid, and I tend to agree with you on some of those stubs. I tend to agree, so that's good. All right, Juan, 5 locks, 3 snubs.
So you kind of shocked me there because I really only did main research on 3 players, but I know enough about everyone that I can go in depth. So let me start off with my snubs first.
Okay.
The first one's going to be Steve Smith Sr. Because honestly, as great of a career as he has been, as one of the most legendary trash talkers I ever had the pleasure of watching.
Yes, sir. He's
not first ballot because he never got over the hump. He made it to a Super Bowl with the 03 Panthers, but he never made it back. Number 2 snub, I'm going against one of your guys, one of your locks, Darren. I'm going with Devin Hester. Devin Hester is going to get snubbed this year because think about it. Outside of one kicker and one punter, there is no true specialist in the Hall of Fame right now. Devin Hester's career as a returner for how amazing and storied that it is needs to age and be defended well enough. I don't think anyone's pulling for him right now, especially because there's a lot of other names in consideration. And then my third snub, I'm going to go with Jared Allen, the sack master for the Minnesota Vikings. Look, he almost rode off into the sunset, almost getting a Super Bowl with the Panthers, which is not meant to be. I think that there's much better pass rushes on this list that will get ahead of him than just name recognition alone, but he will get in within his due time. So those are my three snubs. Now my three locks. First one I'm going with is a wide receiver, Mr. Heinz Ward of the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, he has been honestly snubbed for the last 5 years since he was eligible to make it into this hall. All right. Not only would he be the first Asian American to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he was also one of the top blocking wide receivers I ever had the pleasure of watching. And I don't think that gets enough recognition in the NFL. Wide receivers that not only were willing to block, but loved doing so. And not to mention, you can't tell the story of the NFL without Heinz Ward being in this conversation. He is a Super Bowl MVP. He is a 4-time Pro Bowler. He has 12,000 receiving yards. He has 1,000 catches. He was in a freaking Batman movie, for goodness sake. And he has a rule named after him for blindside blocking, which, some may consider him a dirty player. Honestly, I think he played within the rules that were available at the time. So number one, that's him. Number two, I'm playing for a homer. For one of my bosses, actually. Mr. Safety of the Green Bay Packers and a Super Bowl champion, Leroy Butler. All right? Let me put it this way. Look, his path to the NFL alone is a Hall of Fame story. The guy was born pigeon-toed, had to have his legs broken at 8 days old, and reformed through braces and lived most of his childhood in a wheelchair, only to become one of the top safeties of the 90s. All right, he was a hard hitter. He was a 4-time first-team All-Pro. He had 20 sacks as a safety. I can't remember the last time I saw a safety with that high of a number. And he is the sole inventor of the Lambeau Leap, one of the most coveted celebrations in football. You can't tell the story of the NFL without Leroy Butler's contributions. My third pick, I'll keep it quick, left tackle Tony Boselli, the first ever pick by the Jaguars in 1995. A left tackle who only played 7 years in the league, but he made each one of them count. He was part of not one, but two extended franchises. He was first with the Jaguars, and then he was drafted in the expansion draft by the Texans. So he was basically a premier player for two different teams. And, we need to give our linemen some love. That's all I want to say. And then I'll keep my last two very quick. First one I want to put, I'm going to go with Tory Holt. All right. Every other member of the greatest show on turf has made it into the Hall of Fame. Orlando Pace, Isaac Bruce, Kurt Warner, even Marshall Falk, excuse me. It's about time that Tory Holt got the recognition that he deserved. And then my second guy to make it, I am going to give it to DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware, I think, deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Alone with his career with the Cowboys, what he was able to accomplish in Dallas is amazing. And then cap it off as being part of a elite level Hall of Fame tandem pass rushing duo in Denver to win Super Bowl 50. He's got my first ballot ticket.
I love it. Great list, guys. Great list. I love it. Leave us your comments. We want to interact with you guys. Listen, let me know in the comments who are your locks and your snubs. My locks, my 5. I'm going to start with. Yep, I'll do it. All right, I'm going to start with one of the most underrated of all time. But if you ask anybody who plays the position or played against this person, Nobody denies this man's talent. The phenomenal skill and just dominance this guy had, no matter who was throwing him the football. The original DeAndre Hopkins, Mr. Andre Johnson himself. Andre Johnson is probably the most underrated and underappreciated wide receiver of our generation. The guy consistently went over 1,000 yards every single year. He could go up and get the ball with the jump ball. He can go over the middle and truck you because he was that strong. He had amazing hands. He could run routes. He could do everything. He was a phenomenal blocker. Andre Johnson, because he was a very humble and very reserved individual, did not get the highlight like that, let's say that of a Terrell Owens or a Chad Johnson or a Randy Moss, other receivers of his age, or even a Megatron. But his contribution to the world of football, you cannot have a list of great all-time great receivers and not have Andre Johnson on that list. It's impossible. And he better not be anywhere lower than 15. I said it, nowhere lower than 15. He was that good. So he's my first lock. My second lock, I'm going to agree with Juan. I think we have to start giving our linemen some love. Tony Vaselli was phenomenal. Again, only played 7 years, but those 7 years were extremely impactful. 2 expansion teams, Pro Bowls out the wazoo. The guy was a phenomenal player. Regardless of those teams and their records and all of the, he played extremely well. He's my second lock. Number 3, my lock. I don't think he's going to be a lock. I think he should be a lock, without question. And here's the reason why. Deion Sanders said it best. When you're the best at your position for your entire career, you should get in. And his name is Devin Hester. There was absolutely nobody better than Devin Hester the entire time of his career. He was the best at his position. Yes, we understand it's a gadget position. He's a returner. He's a specialist, whatever you want to call it. He also has receiving touchdowns. Let's not take that away from him. He also has receiving yards and catches and all of those different things. But you're talking about the league leader all time in returns. All time. This is more than Deion Sanders. I think the only person coming close is Cordero Patterson, who's tied with him as far as kick return touchdowns. But punt return touchdowns, he leads in that too. He's absolutely phenomenal. I think he should be a lock. Number 4, DeMarcus everywhere. He was everywhere on that field. If you didn't block him, he was going to hit you. And I love that he was one of those defensive ends who was extremely fast and quick, but he was real strong. He was mean. He was a strong defensive end. He could stop the run and he could pass rush. He's in, I believe, the top 10 all time in sacks as far as from his position. And to Juan's point, he goes out at the end of his career with a Super Bowl. The one thing that he wanted his entire career. He was one of those players that was open about that as well. I want to win a Super Bowl. Point blank, period. So he's my number 4. And then number 5, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to do it. Because I believe he should be a lock as well. And I'm going to say that man, Patrick Willis. Again, shorter career than expected, but in the time you're talking about a 250-pound linebacker who ran a 4.3 40. What? Insane. You're talking about a talent level that was unmatched. I mean, he could do everything. He could blitz. He could cover. He could pick the ball off. He had really decent hands for a linebacker. He did everything that you wanted. Him and Navarro Bowman at one point were probably the scariest linebacker tandem in the NFL. They were absolutely dominant. That 49ers defense will always, for me, go down as one of my top 5 defenses all time. They were absolutely lights out. I loved it. And so for me, those are my locks. My snubs, I'm going to say a snub here that shouldn't be a snub is Heinz Ward. Heinz Ward speaks for itself. He should not be snubbed, but I got a feeling they're going to do it. I have a weird feeling they're going to say you're not first ballot. You'll get it in a second, but I have a weird feeling they're going to snub him. He is a first ballot Hall of Fame player to me. I agree with you, Juan. One of the guys that would just love to block. And at his size, he wasn't a big guy, but he had every intention of putting you on your back as much as he could. So many pancakes. I loved Heinz Ward as a receiver, and as a person, he was even better. I love Heinz Ward. I think he's going to, and another player of the same kind of mold, Steve Smith. I have a weird feeling they're going to do the same thing to him. Again, these are guys who are unsung heroes for the team for a long time. You could not talk about the Carolina Panthers nor the Pittsburgh Steelers without saying the name of these two guys. And they weren't the 6'3", 230-pound, running a 4-3 receivers that the Terrell Owens and the Randy Mosses and the Calvin Johnsons of their time period. They weren't those guys. But they put up comparable numbers, and nobody wanted to go up against them. You knew you had your hand full if you had to face either one of those guys in the prime. And then number 3, and I have a weird feeling they're going to do this man dirty. But I got a weird feeling Darren Woodson is not going to get in the Hall this year. And I don't know why. One of the greatest safeties of all time, in my opinion. And I have a weird feeling they're going to do him dirty. It's a gut feeling, and I don't like it. It makes me sick. And that's all I have to say about that, ladies and gentlemen. I don't like it. All right, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move into another topic that we started last week. Last week, we talked about the NFC. This week, we're going to talk about the AFC, all right? And I want to know, what AFC teams are you least confident in right now? I'm going to start with you, Juan. Let me know what teams on that list are you like, oh, I don't know if I really believe y'all right now, because y'all tripping. No, you are muted, sir. Unmute. Let's do I'm trying to unmute you. It's not allowing me to unmute you. Darren, we will go to you while we get the technical issues worked out with Juan. Let me know what AFC team is the team that you have the least amount of belief in.
So I'm glad you came to me, because this actually goes into what I was speaking on with my initial assessments of the games of the night. One of those teams, and one of the biggest teams, I believe, is the Bills. And I'll explain why. So first off, we all see Allen has slightly regressed this year. He's been incredible still at times. A man that we all seen could possibly be an MVP type of guy every single year going forward last year. But thank you, baby. I'll get into them in a second. But Allen slightly regressed. The defense can hold, but the defense does not get as many turnovers as you would like to see out of a defense like that. They don't get as much pressure as you would like to see.
Who?
The Bills. Sometimes. Not all the time. Sometimes.
What?
But
you know the tied for the league in interceptions, right?
Listen. Most of their interceptions all come in the same games. The games that they've won are the games that they had their turnovers. All the games that they lost, no real turnovers, no real defense.
I can give you that.
And that's my point. It's not that they haven't played well, because they're one of the top defenses. But when they play bad and the offense plays bad, it happens often. And that offense is more of a hot and cold type of thing, where with no running game, Josh Allen is not the Josh Allen of last year. The Bills team looks somewhat similar to my second team I'm very not as confident in. And this is very, very sad to say, people. Number 1, Bills. Number 2, Ravens.
Oh!
And here is why. And here is why. I trust my guys with everything I love, and I will always continue to say they will win. But if we're being realistic and not biased about my situation here, the Ravens, the injuries, people, the injuries have been ridiculous. From 3 starting running backs, 2, then the starting corner, starting safety, starting linebacker. We are losing people at a ridiculous amount. Guys have been coming off of IR. Some guys are still on IR. We just played a game with no Lamar Jackson. The injuries have been killing us this year. And then you want to add on top of that the terrible pass defense that we've had this year. Whew. I'm telling you, man, listen, it's Lamar bust almost. I love that we won without Lamar, and I love what Tyler Huntley did, but it's almost Lamar bust against a great team in the AFC or the NFC. And without him, what are we going to do? So, yeah, Ravens number 2, Bills number 1.
Okay,
Chiefs would be number 3, but they've been showing a lot more this year.
I'm at a loss for words, sir.
Listen,
you right, exactly. Are we in the multiverses? I am flabbergasted, sir. You put your Ravens. You know what? He's being coy. I see what that is. I see what you're doing. You're patronizing us. You just had to get a Raven shout out in there. I see what you're doing there. You know
me. I gotta be able to talk about it somehow. Right?
You couldn't wait till your game picks, could you?
All right, Juan, talk to me, man. What AFC team?
I'm staying in the division. The team I'm least confident in is the Cincinnati Bengals. Right now, they are like. I get that the Ravens are injury prone and that Ben Roethlisberger is regressing into being an 80-year-old man getting hit by 40-mile-per-hour trains. And the Browns are injured to all hell. And yet, I have confidence in all 3 of those teams, more confidence in all 3 of those teams than I do in the Cincinnati Bengals. Main reason why is because they are they are a team in flux. They will beat the hell out of the Raiders, or keep it close and then beat them out in the fourth quarter one game and then lose to the lowly Jets the next game. It doesn't really make any sense, in my opinion. Granted, the stats are pretty decent for the Bengals, at least on offense. They're 12 passing, 22 rushing. Let's not underrate the work of Joe Burrow and what he's been able to achieve so far. He is top 4 he is 9th in the league in passing. He has a 21-11 touchdown interception ratio. He's been pretty decent, at least keeping the ship afloat. Not to mention Joe Mixon, a top 4 running back in his league. I'll call it right now. Over 750 yards and 9 touchdowns so far. Top 4 in both categories. You cannot tell me that's not good production out of a running back otherwise. The only issue is that in the passing game, it is not a balanced attack. Jamar Chase is the only receiver with over 500 receiving yards. Everyone else is like around 400 or lower. All right. Even though his last 3 games have been somewhat sus. Against the Jets, he had 3 catches for 32 yards. Against the Browns, 6 for 49. And against Las Vegas, 3 for 32. So he's been running a bit of a cold streak. On defense, the only true playmaker I see on that defense is on the defensive line, and that was acquiring Trey Hendrickson from the Saints in free agency. He has far and above proven that he is worthy of that contract that he signed so far this season. 9.5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss. And honestly, it's been really quiet from Jesse Bates, the Pro Bowl center that we saw last year. So until the defense starts picking up and there's more consistency within the offense, I don't have any faith in the Bengals whatsoever.
All right. Listen, I'm not mad at it at all. I would agree with you there, but I'm not going to agree with you because there's other teams that I don't believe in. But that is a very, very good pick. If you didn't pick them, I might have picked them. I just might have. But the teams I'm going to say that I am not really confident in are 2 teams that are actually tied, in my opinion. And they are the Chargers and the Raiders. I'm not confident in either of those teams. I mean, early on, the Raiders looked like they were poised to make a very, very strong run this season. They started the season 3-0. Their defense was just terrorizing quarterbacks, literally getting after it. Max Crosby looked like the second coming of who we mentioned earlier, Jared Allen and different things like that. He was absolutely on a tear. Darren Waller seemed unguardable. It seemed like he would take the crown as the best tight end in the league this year. I just want to go on record and say that I said that he wouldn't. But anyway, like I said, it's still Travis Kelce. That guy he still plays. But anyway, listen, I'm not a fan in either of those teams. The Raiders, like I said, and then with their injuries and Josh Jacobs, his running style, you never can count on him every week. You're not going to get a 16-game season out of Josh Jacobs with his running style. The receivers, other than Deshaun Jackson, it seems like Deshaun Jackson's their best wide receiver now that he's come over, and even he is not really doing too much. I mean, Bryan Edwards is starting to play a little bit better, but they're not really threatening anybody when it comes to that regard. And then, like I said, the Chargers.
Well, what about Zay Jones, though?
Excuse me.
Sorry, what about Zay Jones?
Again, not enough, right? And they don't
ball receiver. We're talking
they don't threaten anybody as much as a team like the Chargers. He said Zay Jones. What about Zay Jones? Listen, the Chargers, right? They've got receivers. Mike Williams came out this year, and we were like, oh my goodness, he is the second coming of Terrell Owens, just mossing people down the field, 100 yards here, 150 there, 2 touchdowns here. Where's Mike Williams been? Absolutely nowhere. Keenan Allen has literally held this team together for the most part. Austin Eckler comes back after injury. He's still playing well. Justin Herbert is good, but we're still seeing signs of a young quarterback. Their defense is starting to gel a little bit better, but I'm still not fully sold. I love Rashawn Slater. I think he should be in consideration for Rookie of the Year without question. He's phenomenal. He's a great player. But there's something about this Chargers team that they're still missing, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. There's something missing. I honestly think it's another outside wide receiver who can dominate. I think Keenan Allen is probably better suited in the slot, if we're going to be honest. Mike Williams is a great deep threat and jump ball guy, but you need somebody who's going to do all of that dirty work, actually route somebody up and go and do what they're supposed to do. I think a great pickup would have been Odell Beckham, but we're not going to talk about that. So those are my 2 teams that I'm not really confident in. And speaking of confidence, I think we all should have a nice little bit of confidence here because our game picks weren't too bad this week. I'm not mad at it. So I want to know you guys' game picks this week. We're going to jump into this. Listen, we're going to jump into the game picks again. Give me your picks. One explanation. And then we'll get to the hot take. You know what it is. I'm going to start with you, Juan. Please give me your game picks. Actually, let me go over the records before we do that. All right. Darren went, you said 8-7, correct?
8-7.
8-7. All right, 8-7. Bringing his total score to 95, 70-1. All right, everybody got that? 95, 70. You got to take the V out. 70 and 1. All right. Then we had myself. I went 9-6. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Very solid week for your boy. Very, very solid week for your boy. Bringing my total to 100. That's right. First to 100 wins over here. You know what it is. 165-1. All right. Then we had Darius, who solid week. 8-7. 8-7, bringing his total all the way up to 91. He's in the 90s, ladies and gentlemen. 91 and 73. Excuse me. Yeah, 73-1. All right. And then we've got Juan, the one and only, who tied my record at 9-6. Very,
I'm back, baby.
He's back. He's back in the winning column. Listen, those were some bad weeks. 4 and such and such. That I'm gonna let you talk about that. after we get all this stuff together. But that was pretty rough. You're back though, 9-6, bringing your overall record to 94-71-1. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Juan, give us your game picks and your one explanation.
Well, I'm riding a 1-2 streak right now for this week. I even have video evidence to prove it. I picked Detroit and Dallas to win. Obviously, that failed pretty epically, but Buffalo did win. So I went on that direction. For Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, I'm taking Cincinnati. For Tampa and Indianapolis, I'm going to take Tampa. For Carolina and Miami, I'm taking Carolina. For Tennessee at New England, I'm going to take New England. For Philly at New York, I'm going to take the Eagles. Atlanta and Jacksonville, I'm going to take you guys. I'm going to take Atlanta. New York in Houston, I'm taking the Jets. Los Angeles in Denver, I am taking the Chargers. Green Bay hosting the Rams, I'm taking the Packers. Minnesota going to San Francisco. I'm taking Minnesota there, and it's going to be the game I'm going to talk about in a minute. Then I'm taking Baltimore over Cleveland, and then Washington over Seattle.
All right. And I just want to let everyone know those 3 games, since we were not able to get them in before they were played, start your week off 3-0, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. I'm in the giving mood, all right? 3-0 for everybody for those 3 games played yesterday. Give us your explanation, Juan.
Okay, I'll keep it brief as much as possible. Basically, this is like a weird game to play because both Minnesota and San Francisco are kind of mirror images of each other, with the sense of like you can't really trust either one of them to get anything done. All right, Minnesota was my team of least confidence last week when I picked them. In San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan is a master play caller, but he's been dealing, number one, with a lot of injuries. Number two, inconsistency with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I forgot the name of the rookie quarterback that they drafted.
Trey Lance.
Like it's not a volatile situation in the quarterback room, but you can basically see that that Jimmy Garoppolo is basically a placeholder for Trey Lance at the moment. On the plus side, Deebo Samuel has been blowing up. He is in my opinion, the offensive player of the year this year. I'm so bad with names sometimes, guys. I'm terribly sorry.
You're good.
The return of George Kittle has been beneficial for this offense. The offensive line is playing a lot better. Running game leaves a lot to be desired, but this defense is giving up too many yards on the ground. And against a team that has Dalvin Cook in the backfield and 2 receiving weapons in Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. And Kirk Cousins playing out of his mind. He still only has 2 picks on the whole year, and he just upset the Packers in Minnesota. It's going to be a good game, I feel. I'm calling it game of the week. It's going to be the game of the week for this week. It's going to be the one that's going to be replaying after the season ends on NFL Network all the time. And I think it's going to go as a high-scoring affair. I'm giving it to Minnesota 45-41.
45?
45.
Oh, wow. 45 points. All right. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about that. Darren, game picks and one explanation, please.
So, as we already know, start off 3-0. Gotta love it. Mm-hmm. But after that, you got Browns versus the Ravens. Easy money. Steelers and Bengals. Bucks and the Colts. Bucks. Panthers and the Fins. Titans and the Pats. Titans. Patriots will not win another game this year. Just saying. Eagles versus the Giants. Eagles. The Falcons versus the Jags.
The disrespect.
I'm sorry, man. Y'all Falcons. I done picked the Falcons 2 weeks in a row, and each time I picked them, they lost.
You picked them for petty reasons.
No, I've actually picked them to win for good reasons. I actually thought they was going to beat the Cowgirls, and then they got stomped.
You thought the Falcons were going to beat the Cowboys.
You dang on right.
And then the Patriots, who just got off
I try to have faith in your team, sir.
No, one explainer.
Unfortunately,
One explainer.
Sorry,
did try to
I
explain
threw
it.
you off. Continue.
Thank you. Jets and the Texans, Bolts and the Broncos, Bolts, Vikings and the 49ers, the Hawks and the Washington team. I'm going with the Hawks on this one. And my explanation game is the Rams and the Packers, and this is going to be really, really quick. The Rams and the Packers interest me a lot because the Rams, we get to see what type of development do they do on their bye week. What type of chemistry do they build with the new additions of Von Miller and OBJ? Will OBJ come out and do what we expect him to do and recapture that superstar essence with a guy like Matthew Stafford, with guys like Cooper Kupp around him in that type of offense? And then with the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, fractured toe, what's going to happen? Is it just going to be the Jordan Love show? What is that going to look like? Can we trust Jordan Love to be the starter going forward for the Packers? And if he is, can they make a deep run with him at quarterback instead of Aaron Rodgers? It's very, very intriguing to see what's happening with all those different storylines. And I just love the matchup. It's a great matchup. Oh, hot take real fast. Browns.
I'm waiting for your pick.
Oh, no. Sorry. Rams. Easy.
All right.
Easy. Rams. Oh,
all right.
Ravens Browns, highest scoring game of the week.
All right. Let's get your hot take. I know you got to get out of here, so give me your hot take. You already said the Patriots not winning another game this season. That was spicy enough, but
listen, Ravens and the Browns, highest scoring game of the week, over 900 total yards of offense. It's going to come down to the wire just like last year, where it was a 47-42 win. I'm expecting 45-38. I'm telling you.
I can tell why you need to leave so quickly, Darren. You're drunk. I get it.
No, not at all.
Too much eggnog, sir.
Listen,
Too much eggnog.
I'm just saying this. OBJ, $150 total yards, 3 scores, 2 receiving, 1 rushing. OBJ's coming out party in his first game in almost 2 years of over 100 yards receiving.
Got it. Okay, another hashtag 350 moment. We got it. Thank you, sir, for joining on. Enjoy your Friendsgiving. Tell the missus we said what is up and happy holidays to you both. All right. Now, my game picks and my one explanation. All right, I'm going to go through here, and I'm going to start with 3-0. Steelers versus the Bengals. I'll save that one. Colts, Bucks. I'm going to go with
Too many explainer games here, man.
Too
many.
That's tough. I'm going to skip it and come back. Panthers versus Dolphins. I'm going to go with the Panthers here. Titans versus Patriots. We're getting some good matchups this is a good – listen. Titans versus Patriots. Ooh, I'll take the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles versus the Giants. Ooh. Rivalry game. Give me the Eagles. Falcons versus Jaguars. Falcons. Jets versus the Texans. Jets. Chargers versus the Broncos. Chargers. Rams versus the Packers. Let's make it interesting. Rams. Vikings versus the 49ers. Vikings. Browns versus the Ravens. Give me the Ravens. And Seahawks versus the Washington football team. Give me Washington in that one there. Give me Washington. Back to the Bucks Colts. Oh, man. 2 great running games. Good receivers.
I'll put it this way. All you have to do to shut down the Colts offense is stop Jonathan Taylor.
Not necessarily. Michael Pittman gets busy, man. He gets busy.
Yeah, but that's dependent on how good Carson Wentz is doing on that given day.
True. I mean, Antonio Brown might be back.
No, he's out.
He is out. Okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with the Colts. They're firing on all cylinders right now. I'll take the Colts here. The Buccaneers, they've got some tough losses. So I'll take the Colts because I think they're trending upward right now. But don't be surprised if the Buccaneers win that one. I think it comes down to whoever has the ball last. Steelers versus the Bengals. My explain game. The Steelers. They don't ever seem to go away. It's like they're not really ever like good, like dominant, but they're never ever so bad that you're like, yeah, they're not gonna make the playoffs. And that's annoying because they'll go 10-6 and then win the Super Bowl. And you'd be like, wait, I wasn't expecting you guys to do that. I was expecting you, and that's annoying. And then their defense starts playing good late in the year and all those things, and you're like, what? And then Ben Roethlisberger starts throwing for 300 yards, and you're like, wait, what is going on? And then I don't get it. I don't understand them. The Bengals, they're 6-4. I mean, they look good, right? Listen, Joe Mixon, from a fantasy standpoint, I believe he's definitely top 5 as far as fantasy running backs. And then the receivers. You talked about Jamar Chase. T. Higgins looks like he's doing a lot better. Tyler Boyd. We all know that Joe Burrow is the real deal. Their defense is playing better. I really don't know how to pick this game. I'm not confident in my pick here. I'm just going to pick the team with who's home and who has the better record. I'll go with the Bengals here to end it out. And I have no confidence in that at all.
All right. Wow. Okay.
All right.
I honestly thought you would take the Steelers at this point.
Listen, man, I almost did, but I can't. I'm going to, like I said, I'm really 50-50. So here we go. Time for your hot takes. Juan, drop the bomb on them, and let's get up out of here. Hot take Thursday.
All right, I'm gonna rep the homeland right now. I'm gonna give my hot take on the Packers and Rams game. And look, I've heard enough crap about the Packers being injury riddled and overrated and all this stuff. When I've been here and hearing sour ass Bears fans talk a lot of crap about it. I will say this: despite being on an injured toe, Aaron Rodgers is still the king, man. And last year, even when the Rams defense was running in top gear and was a number 1 defense, Packers still came in and owned their ass. So I'm going to say this. I'm going to give Devontae Adams. I'm going to say that he has a 150-plus yard, 2 touchdown performance, all in single coverage against Jalen Ramsey. It's going to be a battle. It's going to be man on man. It's going to be ferocious. I am seeing Jalen just going to be talking trash upon trash against who is arguably the best wide receiver in the league. And Devontae's just going to shut him up. He's just going to shut him up.
Juan, I'm speechless, sir. I'm actually speechless. That might be one of the spiciest hot takes I've ever heard. 150 yards on Jalen Ramsey
and 2 tutties. Because Jalen has that ego enough to want to just solely go against Devontae.
I don't have any. My hot take is it's not even mild after that. I was gonna say Jets win by 14 or more, but I don't even want to say it. I think we should just end the show on that. Ladies and gentlemen, Juan, with the mic drop and walk off, that was spicy. Spicy. Oh, my goodness. I love it. All right. Thank you so much for joining in on the Air It Out podcast. My name is Avery Collins. That is Juan, the one and only. Don't forget to follow us on all your social media platforms. Please do that. And don't forget to like and share and subscribe, man. And when you subscribe, hit the notification button on YouTube so you can get notified when we go live, so we can get your comments. We love to interact with you. Listen, again, all our social media, Inside the Hashes on Instagram, Inside Hashes on Twitter, Inside the Hashes on Facebook. And don't forget to check out the website, www.insidethehashes.com. For Juan, I'm Avery. It's the Air It Out podcast. Over and out. Enjoy your holidays. Matt Ryan, please do me a favor and stop patting the ball. I don't get it. I don't like it. You got to stop patting the ball. We can see it coming. Everybody can see it coming, and nobody likes this. So please stop doing it because you're going to throw more picks. I'm a defensive back, and